listening to SuperPower Mommas on the SuperPower Up podcast, the show that embraces the art of soulful parenting.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Laura Greco, your host at SuperPower Mommas, and I am so excited to speak with you today. Our topic is how to raise self-confidence through mindset. And we have heard often that mindset really matters. And sometimes as mamas, we can get really rolling with the activities in life and the unexpected things that our mindset can get shifted unless we are paying attention. So, and yet mindset is so important because we can actually relieve ourselves of the stress and struggle if we can create a space to continue to have a mindset that's supportive to us. So we have a guest, and I'm so excited she's here because that's really her focus. Cara Wray is a mindset and business coach working with powerful and ambitious online female entrepreneurs, teaching and guiding them to create the wealth and abundance they deserve in their business and bank account. She is a wife and a mother of now 4 children. She just had a baby in the fall. Cara believes in empowering women and that your mindset is one of the most valuable tools available in your back pocket. And she just recently launched her podcast, the Sacred Mama Podcast. So welcome, Cara. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be a great conversation today.
Yes, and I'm so pleased that we're going to have this conversation. You have been all over Facebook, really enthusiastically sharing your wisdom. And so, people appreciate that enthusiasm. And I would like to say, too, that mindset is such a powerful thing, isn't it?
Oh, extremely, especially when it's nurtured.
Yeah. So when we think about how to raise our self-confidence through mindset, that's what we're going to be talking about.
100%.
Yeah, but before we dive into that conversation, I'd like to ask you, what's your mama superpower?
Ooh, that is a great question. I would have to say my superpower is actually taking care of myself first. And I feel like placing myself as a priority has been my superpower because it has impacted my relationship with my husband, with my children, in ways that is sometimes difficult to describe. And by that, I mean in like some of the most positive ways. So my superpower is actually self-prioritization.
Very, 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 I don't even know how many times to say it. Very, very good. And and I think that's what you're mostly speaking to when I see you on Facebook. Coming up in my feed is that's what you're looking to promote. So what you're 100%. Living, you are sharing.
Yep.
How has that actually helped you as a mom? So let's just take a dive back into so you said a little bit about that, but let's expand that a little bit.
So when I first had my daughter, I really had the mindset and really I had taken on a societal belief that I had to basically serve my children and serve my husband and do all the motherhood things before I could take care of myself, which then landed me feeling very overwhelmed, very depleted, stressed, anxious. And then there was, tension between myself and my husband. There was tension between myself and my kids. I was angry. I was yelling, and it just wasn't a healthy environment. And the reason why it wasn't a healthy environment is because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't a priority to myself. And it affected every facet of my life. And so that's really where it started. And do you want me to dive into kind of like what shifted?
Yeah, you can share with that. And then we're going to go.
Perfect. So really like what shifted when I started taking care of myself is actually when I first started investing in myself differently through my business and making a shift into entrepreneurship. I found that inside of that, it really required me to take care of myself and nurture my mindset because a lot of things started coming up. And so once I started taking care of myself, and I'm not just saying like having a bubble bath, and because don't get me wrong, that stuff's incredible too. And I make sure to do that, but actually investing in, mindfulness and, learning from other moms and how they've learned how to balance, their business, their babies, their life. And, I allowed other women to teach me. And then I was also able to then teach myself and teach my children. And so now there's very minimal yelling in this home. The communication is tenfold as to what it was before. Same with the relationship with my husband. We're at a point where he surprises me with, romantic getaways and different things like that. And I believe that you can have the thriving relationship, the thriving business, and no sacrifice of self-worth. So I do believe it starts with you. So those are like the little impacts that it's had on my life. And I mean, like they might sound little, but they're tremendous in our family life. So
say more about that tremendous feeling that you have.
So, when I felt very low, very frustrated and anxious, I was trying to control my family. I was trying to control what my kids were doing, what they were saying, what they weren't doing, how much they were playing. And it became almost like obsessive, and which then caused me to feel just very alone, very fragile actually as well, until I started recognizing my own behavior and what I was actually doing with trying to control everybody else is that I can't. To be really honest, you can't really even control your children. You can just teach them what you know. They're still human beings that have impulses and choices and actions, and we have to teach them that like every action has a reaction, and that every decision they make, they do need to take responsibility for. But when I started taking the pressure off of the fact that I am not responsible for every single decision that someone makes, I started really letting go of the pressure that I put on myself as a mom, which then in turn, like I said earlier, just drastically shifted all the relationships in my family and within my family. And that's what I call like a tremendous shift, is it went from feeling lonely, depleted, exhausted, frustrated, and overwhelmed to having this sense of, openness and communication and love and unconditional support. And, to the point where my children are coming to me and they want to talk to me, and they even have noticed the change. That's huge. Like your children watch what you do. And so when they start seeing those things, it was just even, I guess it had more of an impact when I heard that they noticed it as well.
Yeah. Our children are like a mirror, aren't they?
100%. Yeah. They're a mirror. And, I feel they obviously have their own traits and, wants, needs, and desires and all these things for themselves, but they really do, they really do lead by example. They follow, in your footsteps. They follow what you're doing, and they take some things that they like. They take some things that they don't. But especially when your children are so little, like the first 5 years of their life, they're very much impacted by what we do.
Yeah.
And it can either set them up for complete success, or they'll have some things that they have to work through as they get older. So,
and it's all good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. But, we're showing up. I always say this, like we're showing up each day, and we have a choice. We can either show up and feel really great, or we, about ourselves and our life, or we can show up and feel really crappy, but we're still going to do this day. So the choice is, how do we want to do this day?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which you've spoken into this quite extensively already. So thank you for that. We have to go for a quick break. But before we go, I would like for you to tell people where they can find you, because I'm sure some of our guests can really relate to what you're speaking to.
Of course. So you guys can find me on Facebook. My community is actually called the Sacred Mama Co. And then you can also find me on Instagram. It's at the.sacred.mama.
Perfect. And if you would repeat Facebook, like spell it so that they understand.
Yeah, of course. So it is a community called the Sacred Mama Co. So it's TheSacred and then SACRED
Perfect. Thank you so much. We've been talking with Cara on the topic of how to raise confidence through mindset. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Don Rekla, Executive Director of SuperPower Experts, and we want to thank each of you for making SuperPower Up the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter, we now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. Our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower quiz. And as Neva Lee Rekla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to SuperPower Mommas, and we are talking with Cara Wray, and we are talking on the topic of how to raise confidence through mindset. So, Cara, now that we're back, I'd like to actually hit on that point of self-confidence through mindset. Yeah. Okay? So, when we think of, you've already spoken so much into what I usually ask, which is about the autonomy of a mom. So how about we take the direction of raising confidence through that?
Sure. So do you want me to just kind of go with it?
Yes, go.
Okay. So in regards to, raising confidence as a mom, this really comes down to getting to know who you are at a core level. And sometimes this takes some work, and I feel like there's a lot of moms who have felt like a loss of self-identity through motherhood. And this is because that they have taken on, societal expectations that they have to do, want, need, be, say all the things or do all the right things. And they compare themselves. Mm-hmm. And the biggest tip that I have in regards to building self-confidence as a mom is allowing yourself to be who you are and stop comparing yourself or your parenting to anybody else. And another thing that was extremely powerful for me, and I know for other moms that I've worked with, is standing up for what they believe in. So how they parent, what they choose to do for their children. This is really important when instilling confidence. If you're not, if you're not standing up for what you believe in, if you're not speaking your truth, how are you building your confidence? And I ask that question because it's so important that if someone's bothering you or something that they're doing is bothering you and you don't say anything, there's a nice way to say it, but that's a whole other different conversation. Mm-hmm. Called like emotional intelligence there. But I believe it's so important to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in and to actually go for the things. But that takes us actually leaning in and figuring out, what is it that I actually like to do? Who mm-hmm. am I? Inside of motherhood, you're still a woman. I'm Cara. I'm not just a mom. I'm Cara. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I wear a ton of hats. But it's what do you love to do? Like that is the biggest tool I believe in really gaining confidence, is gaining clarity around who you are as a woman.
So you raised a question for me. And first of all, to speak your truth, I wanted to just inject this. It is so true that we mm-hmm. need to stand for what we are, and we can do it in kindness. And so there's words around that, right? Which I'm sure both you and I speak to that and assist people with that kind of
100%
languaging. But it is very important to be honest, integrity within yourself first.
Yep.
Because your children know. Right?
They sure do, yes.
So, as you were talking, though, I'd like you brought up a topic for me, and that is, how do you, as a mom of an infant and 3 other children, find space to take care of yourself, and what would that look like?
So, I have placed my self-priority as a non-negotiable. As I've also, as a non-negotiable, I have placed scheduling, like time management. Time management is such a powerful tool when you are, moving around with four other tiny humans and
Yeah.
yourself and your husband. And really, I think the biggest shift, like the biggest catalyst that really helped my relationship with myself and putting myself first was communicating to my husband that I I was making myself a priority, and that these things were non-negotiables for me, and that, I love that he takes care of himself and that he goes and does the things that he loves to do, but I also have to find that again. And I
Mhm.
need to do that by taking care of myself. And I did that by talking to my husband, by leaning on my husband and asking him to support me in doing so. And, you know, I believe in, the relationship that I have, and my husband supports me fully. And so it's something that is written in my calendar. It's something that I do every day for myself. I have a morning routine in the morning. I have a bath every night. There's things that I go do in regards to my business. Everything is planned to the best of our capability. We have a family of 6. So,
Mhm.
sometimes life happens.
Of
But
course.
with having this system, like with having this calendar and talking to one another, we've been able to both prioritize ourselves, each other, and our family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Because that is one of the things that come up for moms. They have these little children.
Yep.
And so, that it's very hard for them sometimes to wrap their head around, oh my gosh, I am exhausted. I'm up all night. I have
Yeah.
So how do I fit in time for me?
Yeah.
So,
The like one of the other things too, and I say this with so much love because I used to do it so much, is I used to utilize my children as an excuse as to why I couldn't do something.
mhm.
I used to use them as an excuse as to why I couldn't go out and see my girlfriends, or why I wouldn't go out and do something for myself. And um, I've made the decision that they're no longer an excuse, and
Mhm.
that when I show up for myself, I then can show up 10 times more for them. But I
Yes.
have to start by showing up for me. So they're just not an excuse anymore, and my self-care is a non-negotiable.
Beautiful, beautiful. I
Yeah.
just love to stress that because that is what helps a mom to feel. At least my experience was when I was showing up for myself, I was a more powerful mom
Yeah.
and also able to, breathe into the chaos situations and not just react to everything that was going on.
100%.
So, right, I was able to, like their father would say, she was like you're like the quiet voice in all the chaos. But they
Yeah.
did, but then they would they would come down because I stayed neutral
Yeah.
during these episodes that would happen. Beautiful, beautiful conversation. I would like to take us now to, I know you have a business, and I know that you're very excited about that business.
Yeah.
And I wonder about that because I see that I think you're looking to make an impact in the world. So I
Oh
would love
yeah.
for you to share how your business ties in with your motherhood and the impact you're looking to make.
So I love that you asked this question, because just recently there has been, I wouldn't necessarily say like this massive shift, but a shift back to who I've always been and who I always wanted to, work with and serve. And I, because I'm a mother and a stepmother, I
Mm-hmm.
know that there is, sometimes this gap in between those relationships, and there's this lack of communication and this lack of self-care for moms. And I desire to make an impact with moms, of teaching them of how to create themselves a priority, and then in turn them witnessing this ripple effect. And this is what I do with the moms that I work with, is that it starts with them, and they naturally start seeing how this is impacting their marriage, their relationship with their children, their friends, how they're communicating, just all in how they feel about themselves. And that's the impact that I desire to make, because one woman, one mom becomes impacted, but then it's this ripple effect into potentially like 10 people, even more. So that's really kind of where it stems from. I hope I answered that question properly.
Yeah, no, you did. You did. I see this as definitely affecting your family and the families of the moms that you're working with.
Yep.
And I wonder what that, how do you see that extended impact as far as community sharing, in that way?
Oh man. So especially because it starts with them.
Mm-hmm.
And, as a mom, if we're doing this work now, if we're really, stripping away the brick wall that we've placed in front of ourselves, we're healing, that doing the inner work, we're prioritizing ourselves. We are then teaching our young children to then also do the same, to then grow up in a world where they are a priority. They make themselves a priority. They listen to what they want. They don't listen to what everybody else expects them to do. They listen to themselves, which then they grow up and they have babies and they also teach their babies. So this is a lasting impact. It is this massive ripple effect, but it really starts with ourselves and then consistently showing up for ourselves, because we can't just show up for ourselves once and say, oh, hey, I did it. No, it's this consistent, behavior over time, which then becomes a habit and a really positive habit. So I believe this ripple effect goes, it'll last. It could last forever, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that you're speaking to, thinking of yourself first and all of this. I just want to speak into this a little bit, because it does not mean that you exclude anyone else.
No.
It means that you're clearing your energy so you can be present for the other energies or the people in your life. And that, to me, is like training, like an athlete. And we are in training, so we take care of ourselves. We take care of the food we eat. We take care of the way we get exercise and rest, right?
Yeah.
So our happiness is present, and we can therefore transfer that to everyone else. So very, very interesting and good information. And I wonder if you could also speak into the why. Like, why do you think that we're doing this work? Like, what happened in our past or, generations gone that have required us to make this a new habit or an awareness?
So I feel like women are finally finding their voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that women, instead of standing behind, for example, whether it be another woman or another man, they are making the conscious choice that, their wants, needs, and desires are also important. And so this is something that I've seen as this massive movement that, maybe not everybody is used to, but women are such powerful beings. And we have such a large capacity to not only serve and to nurture and to care for others, but also for ourselves. And so I just feel like it is finally becoming this thing where women are actually talking about the things that have bothered them or the things that have triggered them. And more women are starting to say, I agree with you. I've felt this. I understand this. And so as a collective, we're just kind of like raising each other up, raising each other's standard of what we believe we can have for ourselves. And it's just becoming this ripple effect, like we've been talking about, that then it's empowering other women to then utilize their voice and to then stand up for those things and go after those things.
Yeah. It's very, very powerful. And culturally, we're making a shift as a globe.
Yeah. Yep.
And it doesn't exclude the men. In fact, in a marriage, you have a beautiful combination of male and female, right?
Yep.
Or the energies of that. So by bringing that together in bigger ways, actually creates a unification that can be really amazing.
Oh, I agree completely. And there's actually been a lot of studies and things shown that when a woman starts taking care of herself and leading and truly showing up in a different way, men also do the same.
Yeah.
They have also said, when I start noticing these things, I start showing up differently too. And it is very true. So once you start showing up for yourself, just watch what happens in your marriage and the relationships that you have. Like, they will shift, they will show up the way that you show up for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To the point. That is perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Our listeners are probably wondering about anything that we have not discussed that you would like to share, or any tool that you have that you would like to share with us.
For sure. So for the moms who are wondering, what to do and where to start, and they're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated, my biggest tip is to start with gratitude. And I encourage you to, grab a brand new book and put pen to paper and write down like a minimum of 3 things that you are grateful for. That could literally be down to the soap that you have to wash your dishes. Starting to be grateful for the things that you have around you really starts almost bringing up your vibration and bringing things into you. So you start noticing all the incredible things that you have, because even to a point, we underestimate how much we have already brought into our life. And gratitude is a very powerful tool, especially, I believe, as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for all the little things my children do, but also what I do for myself and my husband. And so I write those things down, and it's something that I get to look at after. And that's really where I would start. And another thing I would say is that your self-worth matters. But it's up to you to take care of it. And it's like, do not give anybody else the responsibility to take care of it. Your heart is beating inside of you, and you need to take care of yourself.
So stepping up.
Yeah.
To be thriving rather than surviving. Love
100%.
that.
Yeah.
That is so true. Anything else you'd like to share before we go?
No, I think that's good.
Good. Well, we are so grateful that you have joined us on this show and have shared with us how to raise self-confidence through mindset. It's something that you're powerfully doing. At least I see you always on Facebook working on that, and you're living it.
Yes.
It's a journey you've made, and speaking to that is really important for all of us. I want to, once again, give everybody an opportunity to know where they can find you. So could you share that again?
Yeah, of course. You guys can find me on Facebook and the community, The Sacred Mama Co. And you can also find me on Instagram at the.sacred.mama.
Great. And just in case you need to know this, everyone, you can find the spelling of that in the show notes. They're there. So anyway, thank you so much. We're really happy that we got an opportunity to talk about how to raise self-confidence through mindset.
Yeah.
And I want to thank all our listeners who joined us in this conversation. And we would love to have your feedback. You can find us at SuperPower Mommas. And you can also find us at SuperPower Experts, where there's many amazing podcasts happening. I want to thank you again, as I did, for listening. And I also want to say that I believe in you, moms. I really, really do. I believe that the work that you do is the most important work going on the earth. Not everyone would agree with me, but I believe that. And I really cherish you. And you need to know that you are loved. So big hugs. Till next time. Take care of yourself.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.